Lance Lambert. I've been the host and executive producer of the Vintage Vehicle Television Show for the last 22 years, and we're on 101 stations across the country, 27 foreign markets, and we cover car shows and restoration facilities, custom shops, celebrity owners, that sort of thing. And then I'm also a writer. I've got a couple books out, Fenders, Fins, and Friends, Confessions of a Car Guy, and about a week ago, Gears, Grins, and Gasoline, My Wheel Life Adventures came out. And I'm a columnist for the Garage Style magazine. I was a columnist for journal newspapers, automotive columnist for 15 years. Been a car guy since birth. I'm in the same car club that I was in since 1962. So just, cars are what I do.
So in all your car shows, how many car shows do you go to a year approximately?
As far related to the show or emceeing, I get a lot of MC gigs. Maybe 25 or 30 a year, and then the days that I'm not working, I go to a car show. So, another 10 or 15 or so. So a lot, really a lot.
In all those years, has anything stuck out in your mind? Any car, any event, anything?
Far as just car related, I was fortunate enough to go through Jay Leno's collection as his guest, and that was, just to be in Jay Leno's collection was pretty cool. He has 168 cars, I think, and about 80 motorcycles. As far as car shows, I like big ones, I like little ones. I was in Greenwood in Seattle yesterday. They had 761 cars. It was a big show, but bigger is not always better. Sometimes the coolest shows are 20 cars. I like the Shelton here. I like the small town kind of warm and fuzzy, railroad, lumber industry influence. Kind of you can feel it in the community here. It's pretty cool.
So in all these cars, how do you select the cars that you put on your show?
Boy, it's pretty much what side of the bed I got up on. Today, it's just sort of what flips my switch. Today, I have a 57 Packard Clipper picked out. I love orphan cars. They're my favorite. We're doing a 34 Ford Coupe just because it's really kind of different. We are doing probably a 55 Pontiac. I haven't lined that up. A 50 Olds. They just sort of walk along these shows, and a 58 Rambler, not Rambler, Edsel, and I just insulted the Edsel people and insulted the Rambler people, but just sort of, I like that car, and some of it has to do with, of course, availability of the owners too.
Do you follow a particular brand or just anything that catches your eye?
It's the orphan thing, and Studebakers are my favorite. I have a 63 Avanti. I just sold a 50 Studebaker. I had a 62 Lark. I had another Avanti. I just love Studebakers, always have.
Let's talk about your books a little bit. Basically, they're stories of what you've experienced, is that right?
Yeah, Fenders, Fins, and Friends, Confessions of a Car Guy is a compilation of 25 years of writing for various magazines and newspapers, and it's just crazy stories. When I was 14, I had a fire engine siren that my dad had brought home. He was a cop in Tacoma, and we put it in a friend of mine's older sister's boyfriend's 55 Ford and went over pulling over cars that night, and perhaps not the best choice, and if you did that today you'd be in big trouble, though I got out of that deal, but the other guys were involved. They got to go away for a couple days, and the day my brother decided to ride his matchless motorcycle up the basement stairs and caught the house on fire, and the day I'm driving down 6th Avenue in North Tacoma in my 54 Olds, and suddenly it won't go anywhere, and I coast into a gas station and tell them I don't know what's up, and the mechanic points out in the street and says, well, that might be your problem, and my drive line's laying out in the street, and just crazy stuff. Yeah.
Do you have any advice for somebody who wants to start? They have an old junker in their yard, but they don't know where to start.
Boy, beware of old junkers, because when you have put $30,000-$40,000 into that old junker to make it a nice car, you may end up with a car worth $20,000, which is fine if that's what you want. But my advice is always buy a car that's done, because the very few guys out there are making money on the cars. They put their heart and soul and their bank account into it, and they're lucky if they get 50 cents on the dollar. So if your love is building the cars, and of course you don't have to spend that kind of money. The rat rod, world has turned everything around. You can build cool cars for $5,000 or $8,000 or $10,000, but I always think you should buy one that's already done. But on the other hand, if there's a car that is, let's say a 54 Olds, that was one of the cars I had in high school. I'm real partial to 54 Olds. There might be one out there that's worth $15,000, but because it is black and lowered and looks like the one I had in high school, I'm willing to pay $2,000 or $3,000 more. If it's in your budget and you can afford it, buy what you like, and don't, get the most bang for the buck, but don't get all caught up in an investment. So guys that just buy because they think they can turn a profit, that's fine, but buy with your heart, not your pocketbook.
What about for the wives or the significant others? Do you have any advice for them for, not being the widow to the car?
Steer your husband to car shows that are in parks and that sort of thing. My wife is not, she's very supportive, but she's not a car person. And if the car show is going to be in the parking lot of the local grocery store, she's not interested. If it's going to be at the state park or someplace nice where she can sit and read and go for a walk and stuff. So, maybe, honey, this show looks like it's, it's going to be something. Or it can be two different things. My wife's a competitive ballroom dancer, and that's her world, and mine is cars, and she does her thing and I do mine, and that's fine too.
Thanks, Lance.
Okay, thank you very much.